All right, so this is looking at that last exercise in our 1-point perspective packet that I said to save for week 2. This is doing a 1-point perspective cityscape, and I'd like you to do that as a full page. So whether that's a full separate piece of paper or a full page in your sketchbook, either place is okay, but I want you to have lots of space to do lots of different things in your cityscape. And so I'm gonna take a little bit of time to show you how to do that. So this practice is gonna be this worksheet, this space practice that tells you how to do all this overlapping, or this 5 ways to create the illusion of space, those 5 strategies to create the illusion of space, and our practice from that page. And then it's also using the texture practice, or the texture worksheet that we got for this week, and finally adding some value. It doesn't matter if you work vertically or horizontally, you're probably going to want a straight edge or a ruler again. And to get started, we are just going to get that horizon line in there. And then you can pick wherever you want your vanishing point to be. That vanishing point is going to determine where everything disappears, and it's going to determine the angle of your building. So if you want everything going straight back towards the center, like this one here, you're going to want your vanishing point in the middle. If you want everything going back off to the edge, you're going to put your vanishing point on one of these 2 sides over here. Any of the places are okay. I'm going to do mine just a little bit off to the side here. And that's going to be the place where everything goes in our practice. So each time I make a new vertical line, the ends of those vertical line points are going to go back to this vanishing point here. So I think the easiest way to get started with this is to put your road in. So you're going to go from your vanishing point and just down towards yourself, you're going to make your road. And that's your highway or your street coming towards you. So off of this road, we can build our buildings, we can build our alleyways. Okay, so I've got my road. And then to get my first sidewalk laid out, I'm going to touch my vanishing point. I'm going to decide how wide I want my sidewalk up front here. And then I'm going to hold that line back to the vanishing point. So this is going to be my sidewalk. And then if I want to put the cement lines that are in my sidewalk going down the street, these are going to be horizontal lines that go across these 2 diagonal lines back to my vanishing point. And as I move back in space, these lines are going to get closer together. So to do this properly, I should have horizontal lines moving back in space, so across lines moving back in space that get closer together as they move back. Because as things move back in space, they get smaller, so they look like they're closer together. And I can do the same thing for the front edge of my sidewalk. I would decide down here how wide I want the front, that lip of my sidewalk to be. And then I would touch my vanishing point in the back, draw my line. So I would have the front edge of my sidewalk. And now these lines don't come across horizontally like I'm kind of seeing here. They actually drop down vertically, and so I can sketch that in, or I could use my ruler to be exact. Okay, so I got my sidewalk going back in space, and my buildings are going to be up in this space over here. I could even make a second sidewalk if I want over here. I'm actually going to I think I'm going to make some trees or something on this side for myself. If you guys want to do 2 sides of city blocks and you don't want to do any trees, that's okay. And I could use the same idea going through my road here. If I want to make lines down my road, decide where those lines are going to be in front, pull a line back, decide how wide you want it to be, pull a line back, and then I could make those horizontal lines to make my road look dashed. And as I go back in space, those lines are going to get closer together. When I'm ready to start building my buildings, I'm going to be working with vertical lines, and I'm going to have the front edge of my building, that front corner. Judging by how big my sidewalk is, that front edge of my building corner is probably going to go up over the top of the horizon line. And then to make the width, to make the side of the building that's looking at me, I'm going to scoot my ruler over, try to keep it parallel to my original building line. Pull a line down here. I'm going to connect these 2 sides with a horizontal line. So that box is the front edge of my building. I'm going to erase my horizon line. And now to get the edge of this building, this edge over here, this face of this building, to go back in space, I need to find these 2 points, just like how we practice with our shapes, and pull them back to my vanishing point. And that one already goes back. Then I can decide how tall do I, or how wide do I want my building, going this way across. Make another vertical line there. Erase my horizon line. Erase my extra line that's going back to my vanishing point. Now, if you took this line and pulled it all the way down, your building might look kind of funny right now. To cut that building off, you need to go from the front corner of your building, horizontal line across, and then it should look proper. All right, if I want to add another building behind here that's a different size or a different height, but it's still lined up to the edge of this building, I can choose a new height for this building, pick out that point, take that point back to my vanishing point, choose the width of my building with a vertical line, and then erase my horizon line and my guideline. And now I have a building of a new height in there. I could make a vertical line down from my first building, take that top point down to my vanishing point, point, cut that building off horizontally, choose the width here vertically, and if I wanted to make an alleyway in here, you can kind of already see how that would work. Make a horizontal line going back here, and that looks like a little space opens up going back right here. With this new building I created over here, I want to cut off its width vertically, get rid of all these extra guidelines. Okay, and so I've got buildings that are side by side here, and a building with an alleyway in between it. An alleyway is one thing I would like you to have, an alleyway or a side street. I could create another side street up here, and I'll kind of show you up here so you can kind of see it better from here. If I wanted to take this sidewalk and have it turn the corner going this way, I'd take my ruler to make a horizontal line, lines up with the bottom of my building here, get rid of all these extra lines. Now the front edge of this sidewalk turning here, I would choose the width again. And then as my sidewalk headed back this way, these would be vertical lines that show the break along the front edge of the sidewalk. And then I would need to take a diagonal line going back to my vanishing point to show the top break. Going back to my buildings here, if I want to add windows and doors, that's going to be another requirement. I'm going to use vertical lines to create my door height. I'm going to use a diagonal line from the top of my vertical line point, touching my vanishing point to cut off that door so it's moving back in space properly. I can use another vertical line if I want double doors. I can even put like a little frame around my door. This new vertical line has a new point at the top that I need to take back to my vanishing point, and I can drop down on the other side with another vertical line, cut it off. If I want to make windows, I'm going to make a vertical line to decide the height of my windows. I've got two new points on that vertical line. I'm going to take them both back to my vanishing point. You can see how I'm kind of cheating. I'm not going all the way back to my vanishing point anymore. I'm just going as far as I want my window or doors to go. And then I'm using a vertical line to cut that off again. So I've got a big window in there right now. If I wanted to break this window into like smaller, kind of like skyscraper windows, I would make a new point on my vertical line, take that back to my vanishing point, and I could make points all the way down here to take back to my vanishing point. Every time I make a new point on a vertical line, I need to take it back to my vanishing point to make the width. Okay, so if I've got kind of some rows of windows like that, if I wanted to break them up or stagger them almost like bricks, I would use vertical lines to do that. Okay, so now it looks like I've got a building that's got like a fancy brick front. Let's make a door and some windows on this shop up here. Got a new point I'm going to take back to my vanishing point. This, wherever I want it to stop, I'll stop, and then I'll use another vertical line to cut it off. I think I'm going to make this into a garage door, so I'm going to give myself some of those new points on my vertical line that I'll take back to my vanishing point. If you want to keep just a really close frame on your doors or windows, you can just do it like this, where you're just kind of widening it up around the outside of it. I'm starting to use some of that value that we practiced about. So let's say I want these windows up in here. I'm going to make a little vertical line with however tall I want those windows to be from these two new points. Head back to my vanishing point, however wide I want that window to be, and then a vertical line to cut it off again. If I want to break that window into smaller windows, use my ruler to do that. Give it just a little frame around the outside. And one more time down here, vertical line, new point, back to my vanishing point, and a vertical line to cut it off. I could do all sorts of windows up here too. Vertical line, two new points, going back to my vanishing point, cut it off. I could do these windows in different spaces on this building. Every time I make a vertical line, I need to take those new points that I made back to my vanishing point, cut it off, vertical line, back to my vanishing point, and cut it off. I've drawn all my windows. They're heading back along the sidewalk towards the vanishing point. I've got those all drawn in perspective. So anytime I make a new vertical line equals two new points back to your vanishing point. And that's going to help you keep your windows and doors that are along this vanishing point in perspective. But sometimes over here it gets confusing too, because when I have things that are facing me, towards me, they're not heading back towards my vanishing point, they're the sides facing me. That's when I want to use just horizontal lines. So if I have windows or doors on this side of my building, or on this side of this building back here, I'm not going to take those back to my vanishing point. They're just going to face me. So if I've got a little side door, I'm making vertical lines to create my height still, but then I'm using a horizontal line to cut it off rather than taking it back to my vanishing point. If I want to make a big window here, I'd use a vertical line to create the height and just horizontal lines to create the width. And then a vertical line again to cut it off. And I can still do the same thing of like adding a frame around it, add a little shine Show you that it's a glass window. Okay, so if I'm making windows or doors that are closed facing me, I want to use horizontal lines. Now, if I want to be able to do something even cooler in some of these spaces, there's a couple things I can try. If I want to make a door that is open, I still need to make the doorway as a rectangle. To show this door is open, I can take this corner here and take it back to my vanishing point. And it's going to look like there's an opening in that space now. If I want to make a little door, and take this point here back to my vanishing point. Now I've made a little opening back there. It shows you can go into that space from the alleyway. Same with this door here. Now it's almost the same, but it's a little bit different. If I want to take a door on this vanishing point side, this diagonal side, and I want to open it, I'm going to start from this point back here, the farther back point, and make a horizontal line. And now that door is open. I can go inside that door. Okay, one other thing I want to show you. You don't need to keep all your buildings on one sidewalk line like this. You can actually have buildings in different spaces. We would just be repeating what we did with our shape practice, with our square practice. Every time I make a new building front that's facing me, now I'm going to take these 2 points, draw my guidelines back to my vanishing point, cut my building off. And then I could do another building, make the front of it, take my 2 new points back to my vanishing point. I don't have to take it all the way. I can cheat it back just as far as I want my building to go back, cut my building off. If I wanted to add windows or doors to this building, it would be the same thing, vertical lines, take that new point back to my vanishing point. If I wanted to make this building with big bricks on it, anytime I make new points on my vertical line, I need to take those back to my vanishing point. When those bricks wrap around the front, they're going to be horizontal lines. And if I want to cut them off, those are going to be with vertical lines. Remember, if I want to make doors on this side, vertical lines with a horizontal line. And if I want to open this space up, I'm going to take that corner that's farthest from the vanishing point, touch that corner and my vanishing point, pull a line back through there. Side roads are just horizontal lines. And I can add all sorts of details to my city, whether it's windows, doors, bricks, stop signs. If I want to do like trees, remember things are going to be bigger in your foreground and get smaller as they go back. Don't be afraid to use that overlapping that we talked about in the space packet. A nice big tree here. That tree will overlap anything behind it. And then if I have another tree that's closer, it'll overlap whatever is behind it. And if I have a tree that's going farther back, it's going to get smaller, still overlap what's happening behind it. Remember guys, this is worth 50 points. So after I've added my alley, after I've added my windows, after I've added my details, be sure that you add texture, color, and value or shading. When I'm taking photos of my work, I would take one photo of it like this once I have all my details added, and then I would take a second photo once I've added all my color and my texture to have a completed finished drawing. If you guys have any questions, be sure to let me know. Good luck, and if you get stuck, make sure to get a hold of me.